What is up, people? Welcome to the channel today. I hope you're all having a fantastic start to your Friday. You are listening to The Bottom Line, episode number 11. Yes, number 11. I wrote it down. I should have looked at it before I said it. I always write down what episode number it is on my little pad here so I don't forget, but I always screw that up. Anyway, hope you're all having a fantastic start to your Friday. I'm in a good mood. I don't know if it's like because the weekend is upon us, if it's because the sun is out for a change. It's been cloudy. That's what I hate about winter, is it's like gray and dark all the time. So the sun's out, at least where I'm at. Or maybe it's just because there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of cool stuff going on, a lot of positive things. Late last night, we had the leaks of the 4 new characters that look like they're coming to the game soon, which I will not be discussing that a whole lot here today in the show. The reason for that is this afternoon, I'm going to do a live stream with nothing more than just looking through all the characters, going through the leaked abilities, giving some opinion, getting some feedback from what you guys think. So that should be quite a bit of fun. So we'll do that separate today. There's still plenty of other things to talk about, so we'll jump right into it. I was tossing around an idea with my sponsors last week. The idea that I wanted to do a follow-up show to The Bottom Line every Monday that would be basically just all of your opinions. Basically the topics, the issues, whatever discussions that I bring up in the Friday show. On Monday, I'm going to do a live stream and we can talk about those things. And not just talk about them through the chats, but I actually want to interact with the viewers more than that. And the idea was to be able to open up some sort of a voice channel, to be able to talk back and forth with the viewers. And I think the way that I want to do that, and I was testing it out this morning, is on my Discord server. If you do not know what Discord is, if you have not joined it, go down either right now and come back and listen, or once you get done listening, go to the description of this video. There will be a link there to my Discord server. All you need to do is join it, and you don't have to follow it or text or anything. I mean, it's just there. That's where you're going to be able to participate in the voice chat on Monday. So what will happen is on Monday, I will open up a voice channel, which I will probably limit it. You can limit the number of people that get into it. I'll probably limit it to like 5 or 10 people at a time. And I can just mute the whole thing. So y'all can be talking in there. I can't actually hear anybody, though. You won't be able to be heard on the live stream. And then as we're bringing up subjects and talking about things, I can unmute everybody, or I can unmute individual people. You know, we can get your opinion, give your opinion, and then, you know, you'll leave the channel. Somebody else will come in and take your place. So I've never done anything like this before. I've never seen anybody do anything like this before in the community. So I'm, excuse me, I'm sure we will run into a few road bumps here and there, but hopefully, as long as we don't have too many trolls, it should be a fairly good time. So I very much am looking forward to that. So make sure, if you want to participate in that you listen to the rest of the podcast here, or at least a portion that you're interested in, because those will be the topics of discussion that you will be giving your opinions on Monday. Okay, the first thing that I want to talk about, and I almost hesitated talking about this because, frankly, I just get tired of hearing it, but in last Friday's show, people were wanting me to speculate. Everybody was asking me what are my opinions, what I think, what do I want to see from the Cyber Monday deals that had been teased for a couple days from Kabam, and with the calendar leading up to it, the calendar looked really awesome. I think everybody was expecting this like huge, over-the-top, crazy deal. And from my perspective, the deals that came out, I thought were actually pretty good. They weren't necessarily the one that I wanted to see. If I saw the ability to purchase a class-specific 5-star Awakening Gem or 4-star Awakening Gem, that was kind of where I was leaning, looking towards. But that didn't come out. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the other deals were bad. There were people like all over the spectrum on this, and I don't know if sometimes we give too much attention to the whiniest, loudest portion of the community, if that makes sense. Like, I think because they are so loud, you get the feeling and opinion that like that is the majority of people's opinions, because that's all you're hearing, when in fact it's actually just a small group of people that are the loudest, when in fact the majority of people either don't care or were totally fine with it. And the reason I know that is because there was a lot of money made by Kabam. So there were enough people that did like the deals that went for it, and they made a lot of money. I think ultimately what it comes down to, the reason why I don't do like offer deal videos and why I have no problem if people are making them, I just think that they're a waste, is it really comes down to just a couple things. Do you have money? Yes or no? Okay. If you don't, there's your answer. If you do, how you spend it is totally up to you. Okay. So if you want to look at an offer, do you need the offer or do you want the offer? If you need the offer and you have the money, you have your answer. If you want the offer and you have the money, I don't know, have you spent enough money this month? Do you still have money to spend? Do you want it? Go for it, you know? When people are trying to assign values to digital fake video games like real currency, like it's not a good value, okay? You're spending real money on a pretend item in a video game that could be shut down 6 months from now, okay? So you don't actually know if that's a good value or not. But what you do know is, will it bring enjoyment to you? Do you want it? And if the answer to all of those questions are yes, I have the money, and yes, I want or need it, then go for it. I just think we spend too much time speculating and trying to figure out these deals. I think most people know right away. Like if an offer comes out and it's got a sour taste in people's mouth, it's because it's not something they want or need. It's just that simple. I don't know why we scream and yell over these things and why we have to have so many videos to figure this out. But God, I'm giving myself a headache even talking about it now. I think people that were upset on Monday will be upset no matter what the deal was. The bottom line is that there was money that was made. It was a good enough deal that people spent money, and they will continue to put stuff out like that in the future. It's funny how quickly, though, the conversation turned. Like, every live stream I was in, like, they were all asking the content creators, like, what was your opinion? What do you think? Is it bad? Is it good? Blah, blah, blah. And then as soon as 5.4 was announced, it was like Cyber Monday never happened. It was like, oh my God, Kabam, we love you so much. Look at these rewards. Which, I don't know. It's just, I guess, gamers' fickle nature to just chase whatever the shiniest thing in front of them is at the moment. But I guess that does kind of lead me into 5.4. 5.4 was announced on, was it Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday, I think it was. Very, very excited for that. I definitely need to go through. I'm done with 5.3. I've got like 2 paths to run in 5.1. I'm just so lazy. I need to go in there and do it. I just haven't done it yet. And then the majority of what I've got left to do is in 5.2. I don't think I have completed any of those quests, so I need to get in there and need to finish that. 5.4 is dropping on December the 13th, which is a little bit less than 2 weeks from now. So if you are, if you have not completed 5.1, 2, and 3, now would be a good time to do it. Just get in there, try to get it knocked out as best you can before 5.4 shows up, so that when you finish 5.4, you get all of the rewards. You don't have to go back and do anything else. But having said that, 5.4 looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. Introduction of 6-star bosses, which that's not a surprise to anyone. This is going to finish out the year, lead us into the introduction of 6-star characters as playable characters early next year, so that all makes sense. The rewards themselves, they do look very good. I don't think anybody was expecting them necessarily to be bad. For as difficult as the content is, as kind of long as it takes you to get through all of it, the rewards, I think, certainly meet my expectations, and from what I can tell, the feeling I'm getting from the community is that, yes, it's met the expectations of everybody. It's the T2 alphas. They're like raining them down on you. We'll get another 5-star Awakening Gem Crystal when you complete 5.4. And then when you fully explore Act number 4, you're going to get a 5-star generic Awakening Gem, which is the same thing you get for 100% completing Labyrinth of Legends. So if you have been complaining about not having one of those because you can't get through Labyrinth of Legends, this is a great area for you to be able to complete and get yourself a 5-star generic Awakening Gem. I don't know now what I'm going to do with it. I haven't spent a lot of time looking at the characters that are coming out here this month. But Sentry looks really cool to me. I don't know why, but I just always have liked this entry. I don't know a ton about him. I just think he's cool looking. I've watched a few Comics Explained videos on him. I've always been intrigued by him. So I'm super, super excited that he's coming to the game. They're kind of hinting that he's going to be Science, which if that is the case, I've got a 5-star Science Awakening gem. However, if he's not Science, I think I still might go for him. Who knows how good he will be. But if I don't get any of the new characters, if none of them are worth using the generic on, then certainly I'll probably will be looking towards Blade to dump that into. So a few other things about 5.4. I don't want to spend a lot of time going through this, but the new buffs look intriguing. I think they are creative, so I'm really excited for that. I don't think any of them in and of themselves look too difficult. I've got them here pulled up on my laptop. I can go through them quickly. You got Vigor. Basically, the enemy regenerates 50% of their base health every 15 seconds. And then that refreshes itself every time you go below 25% of missing health on the enemy. So basically, you're either going to have somebody who's just pouring in tons of damage, or you're going to need some sort of a heal block character. Let's see what else is there. Resistor. I think Resistor, to me, is the coolest buff that they've added. That's where as you attack the enemy physically, they're gaining physical buffs. As you attack them with energy, the physical buffs drop off in place of energy buffs. So you really need to have somebody who can do both physical damage and energy damage back and forth to keep the buffs from getting completely out of control. So maybe we'll see the return of Doctor Strange. Maybe? I don't know about that. But anyway, characters who have the ability to do physical damage and also energy damage are going to be your answer there, which we'll talk about more of that later. Explosive personality. As you attack enemies when they're blocking, they build armor up buffs. I think once they get to 5 stacks, it explodes, removing 25% of your health. So basically, you can't attack into them while they're blocking. This is going to be very much either you're good at intercepting, or I'm just kind of spitballing here, but if you've got somebody who can chain together stuns, if you've got somebody who can stand there and take a lot of block damage, so maybe if you've got yourself Cap World War II, or maybe this would be a great spot for people with a 5-star Captain America, just to kind of sit there and eat a lot of the block damage, waiting for the opening for their combo to end. Might help you work around that. I'd also be interested to know if those armor up buffs, you won't be able to remove those, nullify them with, I don't know, Magic's S1, Doctor Strange, just anything like that. Feats of power, basically every time the enemy goes above a bar of power, 1, 2, and 3, they gain like huge buffs, fury buffs, precision buffs, and cruelty buffs. Same thing with that. I don't know if you'll be able to remove those or not, but basically power control, if you lock them down, excuse me, you won't have to deal with any of that. Rage, damage taken in a single hit, good God, not a hip, hit, is capped at 2.5% of max health. When damage cap is reached, gains a fury buff. I don't know, becomes unblockable after 5. Probably we'll just have to wait until those things fall off. Biohazard, basically you need somebody who's poison and bleed immune. So really, I guess what I'm trying to say is they are creative. They don't really look like in and of themselves they will be that difficult. However, I would guess that when you pair those things with, I'm sure, other buffs that these enemies will have, they could be a little bit tricky to play around. Plus, if you're trying to do this thing like really early on, you got to remember your camera. Your camera is going to be locked. You're not going to be able to move around and see where the portals are taking you, what buffs those enemies have. It says in the announcement that it will give some sort of like hint as to what buff you're going to get yourself into when you go down that portal. But I think that probably the best thing to do is, if you are not like live streaming or trying to complete it like as soon as it comes out, you may be able to just sit tight, watch a few live streams, wait for videos to come out, because the content creators, the community, I'm sure within just a day or two will have most of these quests all mapped out, showing where all of the buffs are. So that will certainly help you out, keep you from running into a situation where you get on a path that you thought was power control, when in fact you needed like an immunity of some kind. So just sit tight. It's going to be an exciting time. There'll be a lot of content being made, a lot of live streams. Should be a lot of fun. I'm very much looking forward to December. This month should be fantastic for MCOC. This next subject was, I guess, actually originally spawned in last Friday's show, where I started giving my general feedback on bounty missions. And as I was giving that feedback, I started having other ideas, and I decided to turn those into a separate video because I truly do not believe that Alliance War will get back to the competitive game mode that it used to be. If they wanted it to be that, they could have done it, you know, a day after they made the changes. But here we are months later, and I just don't feel like that's where they want Alliance War to be. And that's fine. I wish they were more upfront about it, but right now in the game, we've got AQ and now we've got AW post 15.0 that feel very similar. You know, there isn't really any sort of high stake, high skill needed. There's what I'm trying to say is you log in every day, you run your line, you place your defender. It's basically your duty. It's what you're expected to do in an alliance. You become very numb to it. It's all relatively easy. There is no necessarily like penalty for playing bad. You can just go and spend your resources, which honestly I think people were worried that AW was like now a pay to win, but it's actually very much the opposite. AW is still relatively easy. If you need to use resources, I just use glory to buy potions or to buy revives. I actually spend nothing in the game for Alliance Wars and never have. So if money was their end goal, I think they totally missed out, but I'm sure that wasn't their end goal with Alliance War. But by moving AW closer to what AQ is, we now have, you know, kind of this huge void in the game where we don't have any sort of competitive mode where, you know, skill matters, where practicing and spending time in the game, you know, your efforts are not really on display anywhere. And so in yesterday's video, I talked about how I think that Kabam has the opportunity to move the bounty missions from this little kind of side circus special event show into more of a main event and a main mode that we play every week along with AQ and AW. And I don't want to necessarily go into each individual thing that I talked about. Go watch the video for that. But basically what it came down to is it would run once a week. There would be a unique boss, a couple little mini bosses before you got to it. There would be 3 battle groups, but everybody would only be able to fight with one character. The main point was for you to be able to display your skill, and you would rely on your skill and rely on your alliance members. So there's very much everybody kind of working together, pushing for each other, trying to get better to earn these rewards and move up to do harder and harder tier content. The biggest thing though about that is that there cannot be resources used. If you can just spend your units or spend your glory and just continually, you know, run in 15 times yourself to take out this boss, then you essentially have just created another version of AQ and AW. So by removing the resources, it raises the skill level that's needed and required. It raises the stakes for everybody, and I think brings that competitive aspect back to the game. Now, the subject I want to talk about, though, and that was kind of a long intro into it, is there was a comment in yesterday's video that I made. It was from, let me get his name correct here, from Martin Yakaza, Y-C-A-Z-A, Yakaza. I think that's how I say it. And I don't by any means want to, I'm not trying to make him feel bad in any way. I very much appreciate his opinion, although I do not agree with it. I am for everybody having opinion and everybody voicing that opinion, so I very much appreciate your support and for you commenting on the video, because if you didn't, we wouldn't have this subject to talk about. But his comment was, and I'll read it word for word here, he said, "Great idea for the players, but what is in it for Kabam? No resources allowed to be used. How will putting all this money to make this game content return their investment?" And my initial response to that was creating more content and a reason for people to come back will keep the game alive longer equals dollar signs. He says, "I agree with you, but from a business standpoint, not so much. A very exciting idea, but if you were a business, you'd also want a way to directly profit from the investment other than just making people coming back. The game is already free, so they need other ways for people to spend." So I don't want to come at this subject specifically with my bounty mission ideas in mind, because that's all made up, you know, that's all fictitious. I just want to have the discussion of when you're dealing with Kabam or any sort of development team who has a free-to-play game, does it make sense to be creative for creative's sake, or does your bottom line take precedence over everything? And I think the answer to that is probably like most of areas in life. It's not black or white. It's usually somewhere in the middle, gray. I think that in order for a game to continue to bring in money, let's just break it down to its most simplistic term. In order for a game to make money, it has to be alive. In order for a game to make money, it has to have players spending money in the game. And in order for players to spend money in the game, they have to want to play the game. They have to want to log in every day. There has to be something and a reason for them to spend the money. So if all you do is you're looking at the bottom line, how can we make content that will make people spend the most resources? I think that that probably will work for a time, but if you do not have creativeness in what you're doing, I think you write yourself, as it were, you build yourself into, you dig yourself into a hole. That's what I'm looking for, and you lose the perspective of the player and the reason why they ever downloaded and played the game to begin with. We didn't download the game and spend time in it every day because we want to spend money. We downloaded it and we played every day because it's fun. There's an aspect, whatever it might be, whether it's arena or AQ or hanging out with your buddies in the game, whatever it is, there's something that is drawing you to the game. So I think that, in fact, one of the best things that you can do if you're looking for your bottom line is to put the fun and creative factor above almost all else. Because if your content is fun, and if it is creative, and if it is bringing people back every single day, then it gives people a reason to spend resources. No, the mode itself that I'm talking about, bounty missions, you won't necessarily spend resources in directly. However, to unlock the difficulty tiers that I talked about, and again, unless you watch that video, you won't know what I'm talking about, but you have to spend time in the game. You have to be doing arena and questing and all the things that might require resources for you to gain the points to unlock that tier. So I think it all goes hand in hand. I don't think you can just look at one single element of the game and say, well, that doesn't bring in money, don't bring it to the game. I think, and this is a standpoint actually that I took from the very beginning of my YouTube channel, and I don't want to say I've been successful by any means, but my position has always been, I'm not going to go out and ask people to give me shout outs. I'm not going to necessarily be doing giveaways, anything like that. All I'm going to focus on is making content that I enjoy. And if that attracts people to the channel, then that will keep them there long term, because we have found common ground. The things that I enjoy are the things that they enjoy, and so as I put more stuff out, they keep watching it, and the channel grows and moves forward together. I think it's a very similar type of aspect here. If all you're doing is trying to grab a penny every single day, then eventually when the player doesn't really have any reason to come back to the game, you're done. And that might be a very simplistic way of looking at it, but that is my opinion. I do understand his perspective, and if we are just looking at a very narrow version of what I was talking about, yes, the end fight itself, if you're not spending resources on, there's no money there. But like I said, there's a lot of other things. You can't get people to buy offers if they don't see them, if they're not in the game. So in and of itself, just keeping people coming back to the game is enough. But also, it's not like you're just able to open up the tier to get into the bounty missions. There's a lot of work and effort and things you'd have to do that would require your time and possible resources if you're really pushing for the higher tiers to be able to unlock. So I hope that my position was fairly clear. I think it's a good subject for discussion. Certainly will be something that will be fun to talk about on Monday. Will be fun to hear what people's position on that is. And with that, it's going to wrap up our show today. This one I'm going to cut a tiny bit short because I need it to get rendered and up on the channel here fairly quickly so I can get everything turned around, get ready for the live stream this afternoon where we look at the leaked abilities for the new characters. Hope you enjoyed the show, and I hope that you will make it back for the live stream on Monday where we get everybody, the audience and viewers' opinions of these things that we've talked about. Thank you very much again to Martin for the comments. I do appreciate that, and I'm always very, very open to anybody's topics of discussion that they want to suggest, which you can do that either on Twitter. I always ask for topic suggestions, before I go and record the show, so look for those on Fridays. Now, those are on Twitter. The link is in the description. And then again, my Discord server has a suggestions and feedback tab. You can leave ideas there for me as well for next week's show. And then remember, it's very important that if you want to participate on Monday, and I'm not going to say that every single person is going to be able to come on live with me, but if you want the opportunity to possibly do that, that is only going to be allowed through my Discord server. So make sure you join that, and I'll give further instructions on how to join and how that all play together on Monday. So should be a lot of fun. Hopefully it goes well. Otherwise, I don't know, maybe we'll scrap it. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Anywho, hope you all have a fantastic weekend. Hope you have a lot of fun. Hope you stay safe. Till I see you in the next one. Have a great day. Peace.